Do you actually have to be on cocaine to be on this podcast?
It's a great day to be a Wildcat!
Cocaine.
Durfing.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to yet another edition of Cocaine Willie, the official K-State representative on the College Huddle. I'm your commissioner, Bob Trollsby, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, the good chef, Andre Napier, and Fireball Matt Marchesini. And before we get into the episode, we do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Auntie May's Parlor. They're located at 616 North 12th Street in the heart of Aggieville in Manhattan, Kansas. Auntie May's has been in business for 51 years, and they're an absolute must-visit destination in Aggieville on game days and school nights alike. If you're going to be making it out to the game, be sure to stop by. Be sure to tell them Cocaine Willie sent you. We've got our Wildcat Country Let's Ride koozies for sale at the bar. So be sure to tell your bartender, hey, I want one of those koozies. They will hook you up. If you're a Texas Tech fan and you need a bar in Aggieville to go to, Auntie May's is your best place to go. So be sure to stop by and tell them Cocaine Willie sent you as well. Just a couple of events they have coming in the next week or two. They got Trivia Smackdown tomorrow night, Wednesday, October 29th. They'll have Pride in the Parlor Thursday, October 30th. And long-awaited November Pine Cocktails with Therapie, Tuesday, November 11th, coming up in a couple of weeks. So as always, check out antimaze.com to get a full list of their upcoming events. Follow them at Antimaze on social media if you aren't already, and be sure to tell them Cocaine Willie sent you. Spencer, it's good to have you back on the show, man. I was excited when we joined the College Huddle and found out that 23 personnel was going to be the official Texas Tech representative on the College Huddle. But it's been, I think, 3 years since we last had you on. How are you doing today, man?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's excited to hang out with K-State brethren. I consider y'all brethren, despite Texas Tech not having any much of success against you guys, the fan base we are most tolerant of are you guys. So I've actually hosted a fair number of Wildcats down in Lubbock. We've gone out to eat, hung out at tailgates. Always a good time with you guys. And I can't say the same for literally anybody else. So excited that you guys would want to have me on to talk some football this year. So
absolutely. And it's been an interesting year for Texas Tech. Just a little bit of a zoom out on this series. So it's not a historic rivalry. It's a game and series that's been played. Obviously, the first Big 12 matchup ever happened in 1996 between the two teams. But this will be the 24th meeting between K-State and Texas Tech. K-State is 15-9 all time, but has won 8 straight. Mahomes was quarterback at Texas Tech. Go Chiefs, by the way, for those listening. Mahomes was the quarterback in the last win for Texas Tech. It's been kind of a tale of, when we look at this matchup, two very different teams. Texas Tech currently tied for third in the conference, but was by a lot of measures, a lot of people's favorite to win the Big 12 this year. They're currently ranked 13th nationally and was really the talk of the Big 12 nationally this offseason, with Cody Campbell's $40 million investment in this year's roster alone. K-State having this offseason, coming into the season really with all the hype imaginable as well, just outside of the investment into the team. There were a lot of people that thought K-State and Texas Tech could have been two of those teams squaring off in Arlington at the end of the season. But K-State starts the season falling flat and has won 3 of their last 4 games. So is really starting to ride a high, and coming into this matchup is one of the hottest teams in the Big 12 now. So it's an interesting matchup, especially with Tech coming off, 42-0 rout of Oklahoma State, but Arizona State dropping their first loss of the season against the Sun Devils in Tempe a couple weeks ago. So I guess just to kind of zoom out, what's kind of the vibe around Texas Tech with the loss a couple weeks ago, but dominating Oklahoma State and having this $40 million roster that we've all heard so much about?
So one, it's interesting to hear that number changes anytime anybody ever brings it up. I don't know what the actual number is. It literally could be 25. It could be 50. It makes no difference to me. I love to see that there's somebody that was willing to put their money, literally money where their mouth was, like, hey, like I'm a letter winner of this program from 20 years ago under Mike Leach, super successful in the oil and gas business, and said, I want to see Texas Tech succeed. We saw all of the things kind of starting to snowball and gain a lot of momentum, starting probably early December of last season when this recruiting class started to come together, or the portal class specifically. And it was like, well, like these are a bunch of guys that have been good individually, and the question was how all the pieces were going to come together. If that was going to be a thing, is this going to be a team? There's going to be a bunch of individuals trying to be, ball out for their own own future. And then like the season started, and you're like, okay, like I can see like how these things are kind of are coming together, and it just continued to develop and build. But like looking at the Texas Tech schedule, like we had no test going into Salt Lake. It was an FCS program out of Arkansas. We had Kent State and then Oregon State, and nobody posed any kind of threat or any kind of challenge. So leaving that third game 3-0, you're like, well, I mean, kind of think things are going to be good this year. But we're literally going on the road against the team that everybody is thinking going to challenge for the conference title this year. If Dan Pier's back and he's healthy, it's going to be him and then that offensive line, and then their really strong defense. And for 3.5 quarters of the game, it was a slog, right? It was a boxing match back and forth. Morton has dealt with his own injuries, and he went out during that game, and Will Hammond came in, and he was able to ignite a fire there. And it's been back and forth about like, who's healthy behind center for the Red Raiders this year. You get a really weird game this past weekend against Oklahoma State, just to bounce around a little bit. Like you lost in Tempe in a game that I think a lot of Texas Tech fans felt like they had no business being in with how the game played out. But you took the lead with 2 minutes to go, and you're like, oh man, okay, we're going to escape Tempe with a win. Because you took the lead. Your defense has, like, this season proven like it's been fine. Like you're in a position to win the game. Not once like did it cross your mind going into that final possession. Did you think like, okay, Arizona State is about to drive the field here? And ultimately, like obviously Texas Tech loses and probably should have lost the game with how the rest of the game played out. I mean, you scored 15 points in like a 90-second span there. Like the very 3.5 minutes to go or whatever it was. And then you get like this game against Oklahoma State where you want to bounce back, but everything about that program says like there's nothing to gain. It's like playing an FCS opponent. Like there's literally nothing to gain here. If you struggle, like it's going to be like questions are going to come out from everywhere. If you win the game, which Texas Tech did, like it's like, oh well, you did what you're supposed to do. And this is what Texas Tech. This is what I'm experiencing this week. Like I left that game a 42-0 win. Like I should feel better about this game, and I don't. Like there are enough questions here. Like I don't like feeling this way. And of course, leaving the game, we knew Hammond went down, and like don't love non-contact injuries. Then it comes out on Sunday, he tore his ACL. He's going to be out. Knew that Morton was technically available to play against Arizona State. They said he was going to be emergency situation only. Didn't end up playing, obviously. Same situation this past weekend, but he was much further along in his recovery. So much so that like Hammond goes down towards the end of the second quarter. The team comes out of halftime. Morton is suited up. Like he's ready to go in. And the way that the offense kind of put enough out there in the beginning of the third quarter to score again and get up to 35-0. It's like, there's not really any challenge here. Oklahoma State offense can't move the ball. They'd also subbed out their call their quarterback, but like the guy playing quarterback, Sam Jackson. And so like there really wasn't like a challenge there. So like, okay, we're not going to put Morton in any kind of chance to get hurt or to re-aggravate or anything. I would have loved to seen him get some snaps coming into this game this weekend because he hasn't played in 2 weeks. Technically, he's only played one complete game all season, and it was in Houston. Looked good for most of that game. Once Texas Tech got rolling, there were some questions there when Texas Tech had all those possessions that started off in the red zone, real close to scoring, and ended up kicking 3 field goals. You're like, man, like this is really clunky start, and then end up running away with it. So all that to say, like, it's been weird. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Texas Tech's not typically in this position, hasn't been since the last time Texas Tech actually won up in Manhattan. It's been historically offense led, and not that the offense isn't good this year. It can be. It's been more explosive than what we've seen than just like consistent. But defensively is where Texas Tech has really made their money this season. I mean, they're allowing teams to score only 12 points a game. Has just a ridiculous pass rush. A really thin but very solid group of linebackers. Defensive secondary, the corners are really good. The safeties can be had, but like typically there's not been a lot of opportunities for people to get at the safeties. BJ Jordan, number 7, has been the biggest target that defense or offenses have gone after. He's given up some big plays, but the front 7 has not allowed many teams, many quarterbacks chances to even test him. So it's weird. Like I look at matchups and it's like, man, this game should be X, Y, and Z. And of course, it never works out that way. Like you should feel confident doing the X, Y, and Z or whatever it is. Texas Tech just doesn't do it. They win the games that they shouldn't. They lose games they shouldn't. You should be good this season, but like there's still so many question marks around. Like, can the offense be consistently good? Can we score in the red zone when we have all the opportunities? Can we keep our quarterbacks healthy? I don't know. It's a wild ride. We don't know what's going on ever. Like to be 7-1 at this point than anything else. 1-7 was not like a possibility, but like I'd rather have this problem than trying to find out who's going to be the coach here in a couple of months, or what the roster is going to look like, or how many people are going to be sitting out this weekend because they want to preserve eligibility. All the things that programs like Oklahoma State are experiencing, or LSU, or any other coach or any other program that's lost their coach. So it's a wild ride, man.
Yeah, I'd like to probably say the same for K-State. It's been a wild ride this year, but let's get into a little bit more specifics. And I want to start with the offense. Texas Tech really shown this year a pretty dynamic offense, leading the Big 12 in multiple statistical categories, including touchdowns, points scored. They've been 3rd in passing yards with the kind of tandem of quarterbacks that they've had to play this year. Overall has shown a really great offensive scheme. K-State defensively, just kind of thinking about what we've been this year, they've improved quite a bit in recent games. But I think this Texas Tech offense is going to be one that's going to be a little bit tougher to try and manage, especially with a balanced approach. Some really great running backs. And obviously at the quarterback position, you've seen some really, really good players, kind of come through here this year. So just give us a little bit about maybe what the biggest key to Texas Tech's offensive success has been this year. And maybe talk a little bit about where you have expected a little bit more success and maybe haven't seen it.
Yeah. So I think what's been really key to what Texas Tech has done offensively is being complementary and not like balanced so much, but like it hasn't been Behren Morton or bust. It hasn't been like your outside target only has it has to be Caleb Douglas and nobody else can catch a ball. Your running backs, coming into the season, it was expected Quentin Joyner was going to be your starter. He goes down late in fall camp with an ACL. And you're like, well, we're going to roll with Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams, who had decent freshman campaigns. Were thought to be a good 2-3 behind Joyner. Your offensive line, the pieces that you pulled together have proven that they can move guys around and open up running lanes. So being able to complement and keep defenses honest and you can't creep up and load the box because we do have enough playmakers, at the skill positions that we can throw around enough to get light boxes. We have enough offensive line talent and juice in the backfield that we can run it. The quarterback run game should be completely burned out of the playbook moving forward from the rest of the season. You want Morton to be maintained, upright, not running or doing anything to jeopardize that, because the guy behind him is a transfer in from Wake Forest, Mitch Griffiths. He played a little bit this past weekend, but you don't want him playing. And it's no shot against him, but if Texas Tech is going to do anything this season, it's going to be with Behren Morton behind center. We thought we could be okay with Will Hammond, especially coming out of that Utah game. But then games against there were stretches against Kansas, obviously all of Arizona State, except for the last, little bit of the fourth quarter. And then the beginning of the Oklahoma State game, as good as it was for Texas Tech to put up 21 points quick, it was a kick return. It was a blocked punt that Texas Tech recovered on the 20. And then there was one sustained drive that got them the 21 quick points against Oklahoma State. So really want to keep, the balanced approach on offense. That's, like I said, what's been helping keep things moving. Not keying in on any one guy, being able to stay committed to running. Sometimes with this offense, it's shown it kind of takes a second to get going, a drive or two. Against Utah, there were times when it felt like our offensive coordinator was kind of abandoning the run. Same thing against Arizona State. What's worked really well for Texas Tech to keep the offense moving is actually to run the ball. So I would just say the offensive line and getting Cam Dickey going would be paramount to getting a successful start to the game for Texas Tech.
And speaking of that offensive line, you mentioned it that they're, you kind of assembled this offensive line, and maybe that's the storyline for every position group at Texas Tech, that it's, you kind of banded up and you really went hard into the transfer portal. Talk to me about this offensive line, where they came from. Obviously, they're road graders. They have to be with the rushing numbers that you're putting up at Texas Tech. And what kind of fronts have you seen so far that this offensive line has had to go against, and are they prepared for what have they been most successful against? 4 down, 3 down. Go into detail on this O-line.
Yeah, so I think so our offensive line, starting left to right, left tackle Howard Sampson is a transfer in. Your left guard Will Jados was a transfer in. I think he was one of the first transfers to commit. Your center Sheridan Wilson is a legacy player. He's young, but he's been at Texas Tech. Your sixth offensive line, which he'd play on the left side, the left guard position if Jados has to move. Cash Cleveland transferred in from Colorado after his freshman year. Right guard Davian Carter was a transfer 2 years ago from Memphis. It's really funny. If you look at the offensive line standing next to each other, it's 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 5'10", 6'7". He's the short guy on the right. He's really good. And then right tackle has been kind of a rotation. We thought it was going to be the transfer in from Illinois State, Hunter Zambrano, hoping to get a redshirt year for him. But it's been Jacob Ponton, who is a legacy guy. So it's been you brought in a bunch of guys You actually had to transfer in from last season that got injured, Vinny Scurry. Again, trying to get him a redshirt season this year. Trying to get all those pieces to kind of play together and gel with guys returning from injury. And then whatever. But in terms of what they've done successful up front, it actually probably has more to do with Terrence Carter, who was the we thought super athletic receiving tight end coming in from University of Louisiana. Early on in this season, he was absolutely incredible, an athlete catching the ball all over the field. But when he started to look into it, like he was doing a lot of dirty work on opening holes or clearing out a misassignment, or making sure that like things just it looked a whole lot better when he was in than when he wasn't. He is coming back this week. Again, he's been banged up. So like, what does that look like? Is he 100%? Is he 85? Is he 75? So it's been like, it hasn't been like, oh, they're really good against 3-man fronts. It's really good against 4 or whatever. They've shown that like it sometimes takes a 6th guy with a tight end. But when Carter's in there, man, it's something else because he's athletic enough to deliver a devastating block, but also like you can't just cheat in and say like we're going to go after the run game because he's going to leak out and just be just a unbelievable mismatch against linebackers and safeties because he's faster than you think he is. He's bigger. Like those that remember Jay Samaro for Texas Tech several years ago, athletic like him, smaller than Amaro. Like probably a better overall tight end than Amaro. Amaro was like a big-bodied receiver, which was great for the system he was playing in with Mahomes and Kingsbury. Carter doesn't look like the stereotypical all-around tight end. You guys are probably well versed in what that should look like and how it all plays out. But like at Texas Tech, it's been like big receivers for us. But he's showing like he's also really good as a run blocker.
Love it. All right, move into quarterback. So this has been an area of focus lately for Texas Tech. Behren Morton will be back on Saturday. You've already mentioned he's been available as an emergency backup quarterback, for lack of a better way to put it, for the past couple of weeks. But Will Hammond gets knocked out of that Oklahoma State game, and the ball goes back into Morton's hands here. Morton is 1,500 yards passing on the season, just north of that. -2 rushing, I think due to sacks more than anything. 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the year. Ultimately, with Morton, we've seen this through his career. His health and his ability to make quick decisions in the pocket before defensive pressure collapses that pocket is going to be critical to Texas Tech's success and Morton's success specifically on Saturday. How confident are you in Morton's health? And how confident are you as well that the offensive line that you just talked about will be able to contain and prevent the pressure from K-State's defensive front to allow Morton to have a healthy pocket and have hopefully for Texas Tech fans a healthy game?
So I would love to tell you I'm supremely confident in his health. I'm not. The injury he sustained that he's been dealing with was a re-aggravation from something that happened in week 1. There was a late blitz pickup from a running back, and he had a really rough hit against a planted leg, and it looked bad. Popped up. Everybody said, "Oh, he's fine." It's a pain tolerance thing. It wasn't like there wasn't ligament damage. There wasn't like it's like a lower calf strain almost. It wasn't a high ankle sprain. After week 1, they said there's a lot of swelling. There's some bruising. It hurts. Blah blah blah. He came out and played week 2 just fine. Well, he played week 2. And then when it happened again after the game, he's like, he actually feels much better than he did after week 1. There's no bruising. There's no swelling like there was. But then he didn't play for 2 weeks. It's been he can go if needed. I thought you needed him in Tempe, but also it was early on enough that like you probably didn't want to break that glass if you didn't have to. Obviously didn't need him last week. He's mobile enough to avoid pressure, but obviously this is what got him into the injury situation he's in this year. Previous years, it's been like rolled ankle or a shoulder. That was actually the biggest thing that he was dealing with from this past season. He was limited by his throwing shoulder. Coming into last season, they said he's fine, he's healthy. But then after last season, had elective surgery and said, "Oh, his shoulder should be fine, whatever." So it's like, well, which one was it? Was he fine, but bad enough he needed surgery on it? And then this past week, like, oh, his leg is much better than it was week 1, but then hasn't played for 2 weeks. I don't think that's typically the way that like Texas Tech and Joey McGuire have handled transparency issues with like injury, but also like there's nobody else. Like it's Mitch Griffiths, who is a transfer. Like he's good, but like he's not good. He's fine. Really hope that Morton's ready to go health wise. Assume like rested. I mean, he's been able to take a lot of mental reps with the team the past couple of weeks. Not that I think like you need multiple weeks to scheme against anybody, but like he's had the opportunity to be working on the mental side. The offensive line should be good enough to like not have him be running for his life. Regardless, like he was under pressure a lot from the Utah front, and that John Henry Daly kid was just a nightmare. I don't think there's anybody left on the schedule that poses that same risk. But still, like with a leg injury, you have to expect, even as non-mobile as Morton is, his mobility is going to be limited. So that gives me pause for concern. I don't know. I hope that the offensive line is ready to face a I would say improving defense in front from Kansas State. Y'all did get, after Jalen Daniels last week. Everybody does apparently, but I just, for the sake of Texas Tech season, you really can't afford to have Morton miss any more time. Kansas State is not a tune-up opponent in any stretch. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. But like, you also can't have him missing more time and being ready to go any further this season. If that makes like again, I'm not trying to say Kansas State is any kind of a tune-up. This is going to be a tough game, regardless. Like if Morton was 100% healthy, I would be a little bit more confident that how this game may go. I'm not. I think he should be okay starting wise. I think the offensive line, a lot of I thinks should be okay to keep him clean enough to not re-aggravate something. We're also battered as Tech fans with our offensive coordinators lately, and just our string of quarterback injuries going back to even Taylor Potts when he got smoked by Sergio Kindle in Austin in 2009. Since then, we've not made it a season with a quarterback. It's always been 2, 3, 4 guys, and it's been ridiculous to do that. I was doing the preview for you guys this week. You've had one player outside of Avery attempt to pass, and it was one pass attempt. We rotate like 2 and 3 guys a week sometimes, and it's like it's ridiculous that we're doing that still. And sometimes it's like our offensive coordinator are putting our quarterbacks in this position. I mean, yeah, there's a lot to say there. I think, like I said, going back, Morton should be good to go. I'm not 100% confident. I think the offensive line should be up to the task. Y'all are getting better up front. Y'all got after Daniels. There's got to be some momentum and some confidence building there, especially looking across the line and seeing a limited mobility quarterback that it's kind of fragile. I'm sure there are some optimism to get after him. So I don't love that matchup right now.
Yeah, and funny enough, that one pass attempt was actually a tight end and not a quarterback. And it was an interception, but we
True
don't need to go
freshman
there.
tight end.
True freshman tight end. Who'd have
So
thought?
I will just say, like, don't you just love Matt Wells?
Yeah, he's been
Drawing
a
up a
lot better.
pass
You know,
attempt for a tight end.
In the grand scheme of things, he's definitely improved. I think in some of
For
these
sure.
games, in this little kind of win streak we've had. Let's talk about the running backs a little bit, and a guy that a lot of K-State fans, if you're watching Texas Tech, are familiar with. Cameron Dickey is leading the team in rushing yards, over 670 rushing yards this year. Like 1/3 of those were against KU a couple weeks ago. But he's averaging 6 yards a carry, which is pretty good, definitely in the running back front. You got a couple guys behind him, Jacoby Williams, Adam Hill, who have shown some promise, getting some yards, and also getting some stuff through the air as well. So kind of using a little bit of the running back in the passing game. Just seems like multi-purpose backs across the board, which is definitely good with that dynamic offense. K-State's rushing defense, yeah, they've done pretty decent against the run. They're 43rd in defensive efficiency and against the run this year, which is up from 75th from last week. So against KU, they moved up a good amount in the rush defensive efficiency. So talk to us a little bit about what opposing defenses have done to try and limit Texas Tech's rushing offense, and what is Texas Tech doing to kind of incorporate some of these running backs into the passing game?
Sure. Okay, so in terms of incorporating running backs in the passing game, I think you saw a lot more last week of Jacoby Williams being a pass catcher. That was the plan preseason, was he's too electric to leave off the field, and you didn't want to have him just be a third string running back behind Joyner and Dickey. He was going to be your primary kick returner. He was going to be your scat gadget back. When Joyner went down and kind of pushed everybody up a spot, like all of that was scrapped. Like we can't have Williams returning kicks full time. We can't have him be the primary back. We saw a lot of that come back in. I think we're at the point of the season where, like, again, not because we needed something against Oklahoma State, but I think we're getting to the point in the season where, like, we just got to start pushing everything out there. What we've been successful at running the ball, one is scheming things up. It's not like we're just opening massive holes, but we're getting enough balance in the offense, and typically been put into a pretty good run fits by whoever's behind center, typically been Morton, reading defenses pre-snap and getting into the right call. Cam Dickey is faster than I thought he was going to be. Like, he's got more explosive runs in that this season than I expected. He's not like the fastest guy. He's not like a true downhill like bruiser back either. He's a pretty balanced in that. We thought he like coming into the season, I thought, okay, Dickey's going to be like your bruiser every down type. Like he's just going to take a beating. Kind of like what Taj Brooks was. Like Brooks was definitely not a home run hitter. We saw that, like, the times he got long carries, it's because it was absolutely schemed up perfectly against the defensive run or blitz or whatever, or blocked up just absolutely beautifully. Otherwise, it was 3, 4, 5 yards a pop, and it was just like, I mean, guaranteed. We thought kind of the similar vein, not as much of a sure thing with Dickey. He's shown a little bit more pop. What I think has been seen a lot of success besides the Arizona State game is that, like, typically whoever has the ball doesn't go down with the first guy. Arizona State was the first team, maybe Utah to some extent. They were really good. They were a really good tackling team. So our ball carriers were going down on first contact. They weren't breaking a lot of things. They weren't finding a lot of free space. I think that comes with, one, they were super amped up, but they're also a really disciplined group. I see a lot of that in Kansas State defense, is that, like, they're not going to be out of position. They're probably a little bit more even keeled than what we saw from from Arizona State jumping around like they won a Super Bowl on every first down tackle. It was ridiculous. Props to them. They were able to get up for it. It's just a lot of cope coming from me right now. Still trying to get over that loss. We shouldn't have lost. Passing game, like it hasn't been a whole lot of running backs. We had that one long touchdown to Cameron Dickey in the Houston game. But that was like a hot read on a blitz coming up. The running back ran, I believe it's called a Texas route, that little angle route coming out of the backfield and then right back into the middle of the field against a man defense where everybody Houston was facing the other direction and Cam Dickey ran 70 yards untouched. Otherwise, it's been like the running backs have run the ball, the receivers have caught the ball. There hasn't been a lot of mixing and kind of cross pollination there. You mentioned Adam Hill. The goal is to not play Adam Hill. Ultimately, move him back to linebacker. I think that was the plan when he was recruited. Everybody fell in love with what he was doing the first couple of weeks. I was like, let's not be overly hyped here about a guy from this tiny Texas town, putting up rushing yards against Arkansas Pine Bluff. But he's been good at end of game situations when the game is out of hand. A guy that like is a headhunter will like absolutely want to hit somebody at the point in the game where nobody wants to make a tackle. The point is not to play Adam Hill. It's going to be Cam Dickey, Jacoby Williams. Williams is going to be more of the change of pace, like to spell Dickey some. I do love it when we get more two-back sets. We've been wanting that for years. There's a lot of flexibility in that with this with these guys, but it's been more, like I said, downhill running with Dickey, some explosive gadgetry type stuff with Jacoby Williams, but even he's shown some power. And then, when we put the ball in the air, it's not typically going to a running back.
Oh, and you said something that I loved. Running backs run the ball, wide receivers catch the ball, keep them segregated for all I care. That's what I say. And so we're talking about those receivers right now because when I think of Texas Tech's offense, I'm thinking of smash mouth football. Talk to me a little bit about these receivers. You talked about Terrence Carter a little bit ago, but what about these receivers? Who am I supposed to be? Am I fearful? Are these big giant guys like a JB Bradley that you used to have back in the day? Now that currently plays for K-State. What am I looking for? Are they a little speedster out there, or what are we looking at?
Sure. No, we don't have any giants on the roster anymore. I think that was more of a Matt Wells archetype. He was looking for the big, tall outside receivers. So Caleb Douglas is going to be on the right side. He's going to be, well, they're all kind of your possession type of receivers. He's got some big play ability in him. He can get behind guys. He's got great hands when he wants to, when he's focused. Like that's been one of the biggest knocks on him is like he's shown some really like just unbelievable hands and makes just beautiful catches. And then sometimes he's got like a 10-yard out, ball hits him in the hands and just like there's no pressure on him and he drops it. Like, what are you doing, man? And then that drive will stall and we'll punt. And we're like, come on, man. Like you got one job in this offense. Just catch the ball. It's thrown to you, catch the ball. That's not entirely true. There are a lot of things I got going for him. On the opposite side, you get Reggie Virgil. He's a transfer in from Miami of Ohio. He was thought to be more of your big explosive play. And he was early on this season. I don't know if there was some kind of injury that kind of slowed him down a little bit. He's been more, I wouldn't say short yardage, like that's weird, but like he hasn't been explosive as he was. The thing you have to worry about when Virgil has the ball is he is slippery. He makes guys miss. You can get him bottled up and he somehow backs up and finds a way out of it. He wears number 1. He'll be on the left. And then you've got Coy Aiken, who was an outside receiver last year. He's been moved back inside, number 3. More of your security blanket. He and Morton have played together for forever. Catches everything. He's tough. He's got good speed. He's got good hands. He's not going to burn you like off the line, but he finds himself open. And then your receivers, last year it was John Carlos Miller. He wears number 9. He's still on the team, but he took a backup role to Terrence Carter. Terrence Carter, just unbelievable when he's in the game. He can do anything. But yeah, like big playability, not because they're going to burn you and get behind you and just hit you with a bunch of deep bombs. Also, it's not like Crabtree where we scheme up all these inside screens and just break 1,000 tackles on you, or Torres from a few years ago, Alex Torres. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Like I said, it's not like we've got the big, tall, 6'5" guys on the outside. We don't have the 5'10" slot guys running 4.3 40s or stuff like that. So it's mixed.
All right, moving over to the defense. So for Texas Tech this year, obviously the offense has a lot of really bright spots, but some question marks at quarterback with the health of Behren Morton and everything. But for me, the real story this year has been Texas Tech's defense. And when you look at how they're ranked nationally, when you look at all the advanced stats, they are second nationally in defensive efficiency. They're first in the nation against the run. They're third against the pass. They're fourth nationally in total points allowed, which I think you already mentioned, Spencer, but 13.1 opponent points per game through 8 games. On the K-State side, you've got pretty lucrative quarterback in Avery Johnson, who's capable of big plays, both passing and running the ball. But it can be feast or famine. We've mentioned that a few times on the rushing side. And K-State in general only got 140 rushing yards against Kansas last weekend, against a rushing defense that going into that matchup, we thought we'd be able to gash, to be honest with you. And that's not exactly KU's biggest strong suit, is their rush defense. So you're going from one side of a coin to another with Texas Tech coming into town this weekend. And K-State in general on offense, they really thrive with explosive plays, being able to catch a guy like Jace Brown on that post route or corner route, and he runs it in for a touchdown without really any kind of opposition from the defense. So what do you think from Texas Tech's perspective, just high level? What concerns you the most about K-State's offense going up against Texas Tech's defense, if anything?
No, there's certain aspects of any team that can scare me. As good as our defensive line has been, we've been without Skylar Gill-Howard now for a few weeks. He will be out until any kind of postseason play. He was a good complement to Lee Hunter on the inside. Lee Hunter is just an absolute beast. Will not show up on the stat sheet at all, but absolutely controls everything about what happens on the front side of the Texas Tech defense. What we've seen burn Texas Tech is you've got unbelievable pass rush and Romello Height and David Bailey, not very disciplined containment. So you've got guys, we were really concerned about Jalen Daniels, and Connor Wegman, Dampier, about being able to break contain. They did it some. That's always going to scare me as a Texas Tech defender. I've grown up watching Texas Tech defenses just get torched by running quarterbacks. Even guys that I wouldn't say were good running the ball have had fantastic days against Texas Tech defenses. What they do up front is just unbelievable. The defensive line, yes, they're without Skylar Gill-Howard, but the depth behind him with Big 12 starters being able to rotate in, whether it's AJ Holmes, who transferred in from Houston with our defensive coordinator, or guys that started for Texas Tech last season and Duda Banks or Jaden Cofield, more than are capable of playing in Skylar Gill-Howard's absence. Lee Hunter is a man-eater. He takes up so much space. Slower than Christmas, but it's huge. And he plays bigger than he is. David Bailey and Romello Height, they are like, it was one thing when Texas Tech got the commitment from Romello Height coming out of last season, like we need a pass rusher. We got Height first, and we're like, holy crap, we're going to have a pass rush this year. We're so super excited. And then David Bailey fell into our laps in April. We're like, what are we supposed to do with two of these guys? What scares me is they get too far upfield. They're blazing fast, and they can put offensive linemen in a blender and have them looking silly. That doesn't always lead to pressure on the quarterback, bad throws, sacks. We've seen that they do that and they can be past them and like, well, you just took yourself out of the play. So being able to kind of reel that in and play with more discipline while they are just absolutely playing with their hair on fire, I want to see that kind of reeled in to get great pressure, not just get upfield. When they do have a good pass rush, we've forced quarterbacks to either take sacks or throw ill-advised passes. When we break contain, obviously they're going to run on us or they're going to pick on our safeties. Cole Wisniewski, transfer, great as a converted safety linebacker guy, had a bunch of picks a couple years ago. He hasn't really been the pass defender we kind of expected coming in. Not that he's been bad, but it's been really BJ Jordan. He's been picked on a bunch. The corners, they're really good. But if there's, the call in the defense and they pass off responsibility to Jordan and something happens up front that allows Johnson an extra second to look further downfield. Yeah, I'm concerned about him finding, your main guy back there one-on-one against Jordan or even with Wisniewski. Because that I think is the biggest deficiency of this defense. Or if there's going to be a big passing day underneath, it's because you put the linebackers in conflict. Jacob Rodriguez is an unbelievable linebacker. He's not good as a pass defender. Like, yes, he has a couple of interceptions, but that's not his game. His game is like playing with his hair on fire, filling passing lanes to get the ball going somewhere else, and then absolutely coming downhill and punching the ball out. He's forced so many fumbles the past couple of years. It's not a surprise when you see him coming and he's got his arm cocked back. He's gonna be punching at the ball. He's been really successful at it. He had that strip and score last week. Not the typical fumble that you see from Jacob Rodriguez. He just takes it from the running back. But like I said, what scares me is just like undisciplined pass rush that leads to a breakdown in the back end because our safeties, specifically BJ Jordan, aren't the best on an island.
So you talked about Jacob Rodriguez, and I feel like it's really important for our fans to understand how good Jacob Rodriguez has been this year at the linebacker position. Just a few, I think really good stats. 69 tackles on the year. He's had 5 forced fumbles. One of those were brought back for a touchdown. He's first in the Big 12 in forced fumbles, third in the Big 12 in tackles. I mean, he's a guy that when you watch a Texas Tech game, the broadcasters are specifically talking about Jacob Rodriguez. I mean, as a leader to the defense. So I'm just curious, like from your perspective, I don't know a lot about Jacob Rodriguez as a K-State fan. I know what he does on the field, but, we see a lot of kind of showing his family and hearing a lot about how he's grown into his role. Can you give us a little bit of insight, just as to kind of who he is, maybe not just as a player, but, how he represents Texas Tech, himself?
Yeah, for sure. So he started off kind of a small town out of the Metroplex there in the Dallas area. Actually went to Virginia to play. He was a quarterback out there, was kind of transitioning to playing linebacker. Wanted to transfer back home a few seasons ago. And we honestly didn't think much of him as a linebacker prospect because what we had seen was like he was a converted quarterback. We're like, okay, whatever. Unbelievable development as a linebacker. He's stout and he's like 6'1", 240, can really move. He's a very sure tackler. Yes, he can hit really hard, but that's not like he's not typically going for the knockout blow. He's the guy that's like the anchor of this defense. If he gets his arms on you, you're probably going down, or he's going to hold you up long enough for somebody else to get there. He is as sure of a tackler as you could ever want from the middle linebacker of a defense. Unbelievable job at causing turnovers. Like I said, he has a couple of interceptions, but it's mainly because he goes and forces fumbles. He did it a few times last season, even better this year at doing it. He either led the country or was like very nearly leading the country in tackles last season. Actually took a step back in that kind of pace because I think the defensive front was kind of allowing not as many plays to get to him as it was last season, but the defensive line was good enough last season. He was able to make a lot of plays. Yeah, I mean, if you've not watched the Texas Tech game, you're going to get a lot of shots of his wife in the crowd. We absolutely love her. She's an Army helicopter pilot at West Point. Fantastic family. They're all great human beings. I've met him. Down to earth dude. Unbelievable, like I said, person. Incredible football player. But when he comes down, he's gonna hit somebody. They're gonna go down. He might try to punch a ball out. He's just like I can't effuse more about this man. Like he's fantastic. If I were to point out something that like not many people would know is I think because of how good Rodriguez is, we haven't talked about what the linebacker room looks like. It's Rodriguez. It's his guy that plays next to him, Ben Roberts, and that's it. There is no depth. We've had a converted linebacker that plays the hybrid safety linebacker position, John Curry. He was moved onto the field with injuries, but because like we couldn't keep him off the field. But you weren't going to be pulling off Ben Roberts or Rodriguez. So I hate to like point that out and like knock on wood for Texas Tech. There absolutely is no depth behind them, but Rodriguez has been just fantastic.
So I think you went over the DBs really well. I want to go a little different way from the outline. I want to talk about your experience, your perspective on the team over this stretch of going against K-State and specifically going to Manhattan. I know you had the road trip to Utah. Does this pose a bigger threat to this team than that game specifically, with the dynamic of the team trying to break the streak of Kansas State that they have over Texas Tech? Can you talk in depth of which does this game hold more importance than any other road game that you've gone through this season?
Yeah, so I would say it's got to be up there just because of the history. Texas Tech is coming out of like a really bad stretch of bad teams. And even when we were like in our better years of not being good, it lined up with Kansas State being decent to great. So like even when we were not as bad as we could have been, we went up against a pretty good Wildcat team. I think in terms of like the impact of this game, the pressure on this game, it's got to be up there because one, the history, obviously, like Texas Tech has not done well in the past almost 20 years against Kansas State. Definitely not up in Manhattan. Is it the biggest test on the field? Probably not. But there's a lot to be said about facing a team that doesn't beat themselves. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got both of my younger kids now wanting to get in here and join this preview show with us. It's always been a struggle for Texas Tech to go up against Kansas State because Kansas State has always been the more disciplined team. They've always been the team that will force more turnovers than commit, will not commit any penalties, won't put themselves in bad spots. And Texas Tech is still struggling with that. Our penalties per game are still way up there. They've gotten better the past few weeks, but that's been something that's really killed this team, especially offensively. There's unforced errors, if you will. You want to take a little baseball analogy. Is it bigger than Utah? I hate to like sound kitschy and steal from our defensive coordinator who says like the game this week is the most important game of the season. With the way the schedule is playing out, like every game, like if you don't take care of business this week, then it doesn't matter. There's enough competition within the Big 12. If Texas Tech were to take a second loss in conference, it's over. I think there's plenty of opportunity to rely on other people to help you out and to put you back into a position to be competitive for a position in the title game. But like you really need to take care of your own business. And you know, it starts with like not letting the game, like it is one game, but it's not like you have to erase 20 years of history to do it.
All right, last position group or phase of the game we're going to chat about, special teams, and we don't have to go too much into detail with this, but I was shocked to see that there are 3 guys who have registered an extra point or a field goal kick on the season. You've got Stone Harrington, Upton Belenfant, and Ian Hershey, which for 3 kickers, that's like all-timers for names. We've got a guy named Stone, a guy whose last name is Hershey, and a guy named Upton. Harrington is 8 for 11 on field goals, 21 of 21 on extra points. Belenfant is 6 for 6 on field goals, but 14 of 16 on extra points. So one of them is a little lacking in one area. One of them is a little lacking in the other. And I didn't really look at Ian Hershey. But what's been the battle like? What's been the battle for place kicker? What's that looked like this year for Texas Tech? Because it's rare that you'll see multiple guys registering stats outside of injuries happening at the place kicker position.
Yeah, and this is the second year in a row that our special teams guy has rolled with multiple kickers. Last season was a competition. This year it was like he couldn't make up his mind. Instead, like he said, you know, through the end of fall camp into the week 1, it's like, hey, we're going to settle on a guy and just move forward. And that's not been the case. Yes, Belenfant was the transfer that came in from Buffalo, expected to be like the extra point kicker, because he didn't have like a huge leg. Harrington was more of like the leg, but it was most inconsistent in fall camp and practice everything. Like apparently Harrington like set aside all doubts. Like, no, it's going to be Harrington's job to lose. Belenfant missed an extra point this past weekend. Why we're still rotating, I have no idea. Harrington had that 58-yarder, whatever it was, in Salt Lake that like shocked Joel Klatt. He's got the bigger leg of the 3. Hershey was brought in as like an insurance policy, transferring him from Arizona State. Actually kicked against Texas Tech last season for the Sun Devils. I think he's also like the backup punter, which is why there's like some overlap there too. It's a strange dynamic to be rotating kickers without there being like an injury or a guy has a clear deficiency. You've kicked field goals within both of their ranges, and they've alternated. You've had Harrington take short field goals. You've had, but you haven't had Belenfant take longer ones. The impression is that like, if it's going to come down to it, it's going to be a Stone Harrington kick. He does all the kickoffs. I don't think he's ever intentionally or non. I think the only time that Texas Tech has seen a kickoff return allowed has been an intentional attempt to pin somebody deep. Why you play with that, I don't know. He's got the leg to put it into the stands every time. I just say just do it. Just don't even mess with it. Texas Tech does not defend kickoffs or has not had to defend kickoffs because Harrington just boots it out of the stadium. Other guys like your punters is decently good. Hope to see him very, very rarely. Punt return has kind of been shaky. Like you wanted to have some other guys back there. It's kind of fallen to Coy Aiken, who has had a couple of surprisingly good returns, but then also like shown the ability to muff punts, which you absolutely hate to see. I like, if anything, you want a returner back there to catch the ball every time. And like, I couldn't care less if you returned it a single yard. One, you have to catch the ball. Two, I think your awareness of where you are, like inside the 10, and like when you let a ball go over your head is the next most important thing. The ability to return it far distant, I couldn't care less about that, honestly. And then Jacoby Williams has rolled back into the kickoff return spot. Like I said, had a big one last week. How he got under an Oklahoma State coverage guy and then shook him off, I don't understand it. He's not a big guy, but like he literally got under a guy and broke a tackle that way. Like I said, the kickers, it makes no sense why we rotate. It's not because one is shaky or is going through kind of like mental issues. My expectation is Stone Harrington should probably take every kick that means anything. Why we rotate extra points, I have no idea. We've asked the special teams coach, Kenny Perry. He said he likes to have the competition ongoing, needs to see everybody still being engaged and competing. It's week 10, man. Like, it's just, we just need to move on. Like, pick one guy, let's go. And then your return teams, coverage and return, have been inconsistently good. Like, good returns every now and then, but still shown the capability to muff easy ones.
It's my turn. Sorry, I was trying to get off mute. All right. Well, I am curious just from your perspective and kind of, all encompassing this entire conversation, thinking about some X factors for the game for Texas Tech. Is it the bye week that you think will have a huge role in coming out strong? Is it, seeing some of your key playmakers get a little bit more healthy? Is there a particular X factor that you kind of, think about from the Texas Tech perspective? And then I would also ask maybe from K-State's perspective, is there one item that you think if K-State really takes advantage of that could potentially upset Texas Tech this weekend?
Yeah. So to me, it's got to be, what does a recovering Behren Morton look like? How quickly can he readjust back into game speed? Making the right reads, the right throws, being on time, and putting the ball where it needs to be, not taking too many risks. Texas Tech is plus, and the turnover margin. Kansas State is better in that aspect. You definitely don't want to give Kansas State any additional opportunities. We know that like you guys don't turn the ball over very much, so we have to also take care of the ball ourselves. Being disciplined on defense, not letting Avery beat us with his feet. I think there are enough things going on with the rest of the defense. Like, if you sit back, like you like your chances of having him try to beat you through the air. With all the things I think bringing Morton in and how he transitioned to coming back into a full-time starter role, and how well we take care of the ball, and then how disciplined we are on defense, would be the three things I would look for. If Texas Tech can probably, have an advantage in at least two of those, I feel decently confident that Texas Tech's going to be in a position to win this game. I don't know if you want to get into predictions, but like, I don't think it's going to be more than a 7-point swing. I think like for Texas Tech to win this game, they're going to have to, like I said, be disciplined, take care of the ball. It's going to be close. I just think that like there's enough things that Texas Tech, when going right, should help push them over the edge in this one.
All right, let's get into the score prediction. What would be your final score prediction for this matchup?
So I don't try to like do the mathematical of Texas Tech scores. They score 43 points on the year. Kansas State defense gives up, where did I have it? I just was looking at it. 25. I don't mess with that. I think on offensively, Texas Tech will probably be closer to what Kansas State gives up defensively. You're probably mid to low 20s. I think regardless of who wins the game, unless there's like something wild that happens and you're missing key guys on either team, I think it's going to be like a 27, 23, 24, 20 type of game. Texas Tech has given up 20 points once. So I like where you're at there, but again, you're on the road. You're still like, I would love to see and feel a lot more confident on how this team performs on the road than I currently do. I think the offense can be really good under Morton. We just haven't seen it in a few weeks, and that hasn't been his performance on the field, right? It's been Hammond and all the other things around that. I like Texas Tech to win this one like 27-23 type of game where it's in question wire to wire. I hate those games. I honestly I don't like the anxiety of like being on the edge of your seat and it being in question the entire time. I get it's a game, it's supposed to be entertaining and fun and all that kind of stuff. I also hated last week when Texas Tech won 42-0. So like I guess you just really can't I can't be happy or satisfied with how this game's going to go. I think it's going to be close. I think Texas Tech, if things go well, will win a close game. Can they do all those things to do it? I want to see it happen. I don't know. That's why they play it, but like I think they can. I think they should. They just have to go do it.
There you go. I'm going to go 28-20 Texas Tech in this one, but I think it's similar to you. I think it's going to be the kind of game where it's 21-20 and K-State's got the ball with 4 minutes left and just doesn't convert, but Tech goes down and scores in the final, 2-3 minutes of the game to take the win. And I think it's not going to be for any lack of atmosphere. K-State's going to be rocking, I think, in Manhattan. I think the Bill's going to be rocking. I just think Tech has done enough this season to know how to win those close games. And K-State still in those one-score games has not come out on the other side of them as the winner generally over the last 15 or 16 times that we've had one-score games. So I think if it's a one-score game with the final 4 minutes, Tech's going to get the win. They're going to win by eight or so points.
Not me. You want to go, Matt? I'll go and let Matt end this on a depression because I know he's going to pick Texas Tech. I'm going to go 24-20 Cats. I feel confident. At the beginning of the season, I had my doubts on if anybody could beat Texas Tech. I did see them on the road lose to, underperforming Arizona State team. In all honesty, I don't think they're the greatest team in the Big 12 or anything. It made them human. I thought Texas Tech was going to rout the entire Big 12. I saw that they were able to be beat. Oklahoma State proved nothing to me. And I think going into this game on the road, I think we are an ascending team. Everybody's a little bit banged up, but I think at the most pivotal positions, Kansas State is healthier. Can their defense travel to Manhattan? That's going to be seen. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Vegas has that total way off. I think you hammer the under on that. So I'm going to go Cats 24-20 last second. Not last second, but we are the last team to score, and we come out with a victory.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like I think the Arizona State game has poked a lot of holes into like what Texas Tech was presenting. I hate to see that they're moving on and playing games without Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson's. Like, man, if you had just missed this game like you were supposed to, like we'd have won this game. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing to learn from the game against Oklahoma State. Like it is what it is, and it's not the same coming out after Arizona State. And I get there are lots of questions there for Texas Tech. So I don't disagree with what you were saying. It's going to be close, I think.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I'm not actually going to be the negative Nancy for this one. I really like what I've seen from K-State. not just the past couple weeks, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, in this 4-game stretch where they've won 3 out of 4. I do think this is going to be a low scoring game. I would agree with all of you. I think K-State's going to win this game 21-17. I think it's going to be that kind of low scoring game where you're going to see, a Texas Tech offense try to get rolling, especially with Morton, who, is, going to be coming in here a little bit banged up. I think you're going to see both defenses get into a groove. And, it's going to be a situation where, it is going to get into the fourth quarter and you haven't seen, as many points being scored where you might get a little bit more offense. But I somewhat believe in what I've seen from K-State the past couple of weeks, specifically against, going on the road and kind of killing that demon against KU. And, I thought, the TCU game was really overall all really good effort. So it's very shocking. I have not picked K-State to win a game in weeks. I mean, I'm serious when I say that. I just have a strange feeling that they're going to come up on top in this game. So I'm going to say 21-17, low scoring game. Cats get it done.
All right. Well, we got a split decision here. 2 of us taking Tech, 2 of us taking K-State. But Spencer, thanks again for coming on. We appreciate having your insight, having you on to tell us a little bit more about this Texas Tech squad. Let the Cokeheads know where they can find you, and feel free to plug anything that you've got going on that you want the people to know about.
Yeah, so we're in the Big 12 huddle as well. 23 Personnel is the name of the podcast. We stream Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. So we'll be going live here after this show. Be on our YouTube channel. Find our links over there on X at 23 Personnel. I'm at Punts Suck. I've been there for forever because they really do. I hate kicking the ball. College kickers are the worst. My co-host Michael is the more reasoned of the bunch of us. If you look at our season predictions, he's nailing all of them. He called the loss against Arizona State. Bad news for you guys is he's called this a Texas Tech win. But yeah, at 23 Personnel, we've been doing this for a number of years now, and absolutely love it. Happy to be on with you guys. Happy to have you guys on the show. It's always been a good time. And I appreciate you guys letting me come talk about Texas Tech football. I love it. So
awesome. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Once again, we want to give a shout out to Auntie May's Parlor. Visit them, www.auntiemays.com, for a full list of their upcoming events. And if you're in Manhattan, they're at 616 North 12th Street. They've got a nice little pedestrian mall out front there now, so you can sit outside. It's going to be beautiful. I don't know if it'll be a beautiful day in Manhattan. I haven't actually looked at the weather, but when it is a beautiful day, you can now enjoy sitting outside of Auntie May's. So check them out. You can also get our Wildcat Country Let's Ride koozies behind the bar. So be sure to tell your bartender Cocaine Willie sent you and that you want one of those koozies. Finally, we are the K-State representative on the College Huddle. Spencer and 23 Personnel are the Texas Tech representatives on the College Huddle. It's the largest community of fan-driven content in the nation. Check them out at thecollegehuddle.com and follow them on social media at College Huddle. Last but not least, you can follow our show at Cocaine Willie, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Bob Trollsby. Chef is at Chef Andre Napier, and Fireball Matt is at Matt Marchesini. Chef.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, baby.
We are all coke and no joke. Wildcat Country.
Freaking right.
Let's go.
Yeah.